Hello, beautiful people. It's Julie. I thought I would do a introduction video to tell you all a little bit about myself. Is this a Booktube newbie tag? No. Am I the kind of person that waits for someone to tag me to do something? No, I'm not. So I'm just gonna do it myself because I feel like it. So this is a mix of questions that are sort of from the Booktube newbie tag, but also I asked people on my Instagram at Linen Librarian any questions they might have for me, and so I incorporated some of those in here as well. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so why did I start this channel? Well, great question. I started this channel because I desperately needed a hobby. I just started it, it's January, and that means winter in the Pacific Northwest. It's a tough time. I always get weird during winter here, and so it's always good when I have something to occupy myself. Also, I've been watching Booktube for a really long time, have even made some friends and acquaintances, and I've sort of had a Bookstagram for the last little bit, and have been doing sort of monthly stories or like IGTV videos on my Instagram, and I was really hesitant to get a YouTube because I was like, that just sounds like an extra thing to do. But then after doing about 6 months of Instagram video reviews, I started to see how kind of limited I was, and also uploading on Instagram was really, really hard. So I decided that I just wanted to get a YouTube to make it more official, and yeah, I think there's something different about YouTube than Instagram that I think I'm learning to like. It feels less show-offy in a way. That sounds weird because all of this is like some giant, you know, we all just want to be seen and loved. Social media is, but it just feels more intentional. The content feels like making content on YouTube feels more intentional, and I wanted to do that, and I wanted to practice my video editing skills. They're not that great. Yeah, and this is just good practice for me, also just kind of not public speaking, but just presenting my ideas and thoughts in a digestible way, which is something I wanted to work on. Yeah, okay, that was question 1. Question 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I think you can bring lots of fun and unique things because I'm fun and unique. So, I don't know, I think one of the biggest things, and I'll talk more about this later, but is that I am a librarian by profession, and I think that that just sparks some intrigue with people because although I work in academic libraries, I did get my master's in library and information science, so I have, I think, a unique perspective on the book world, and I know a little bit about publishing and how all that works. So, and I know a lot about cataloging books and book organization. So I think that that kind of is a unique thing that I bring. Yeah, and another thing that I think is fun and unique that I can bring to Booktube is that this might sound weird, but I live in like the heart of Seattle in the Pacific Northwest, and there's just a lot of awesome bookstores and bookish things in the city, so I feel like it's something that I can share with you all. Yeah, and same with my work. I work in a library, so I can share kind of content of what that looks like. So yeah. Question 3. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, I'm excited to work on my video editing skills, and I'm excited to meet people and make friends. Other bookish people that are into stuff, discover new books, talk about books, and just be a kind of an all-around nerd. Find that nerd community. Sounds pretty fun. And just a creative outlet. Hobby, something to do. Yeah, okay, so number 4. Why do you love reading? Okay, why do I love reading? I don't know. I always have. It's something that has always been a comfort for me. Growing up, we went to the public library a lot. My mom's actually, she's retired now, but she was an English teacher for like 40 years. So I was always around books. I was read to a lot growing up. And I remember going to the library was like the one place that we could get as many things as we wanted. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So like, I just remember being able to get books in abundance was like, or feeling the feeling of abundance at the library was like this very magical, strong feeling. So I really enjoyed that. And that really made me feel, I don't know, safe, and it was a way to use my imagination. I had a pretty big imagination when I was a kid. And I just think the kind of physical act of reading is really cozy and comforting. And that's something for me with reading. It just takes my mind off of reality in many ways. I mean, sometimes it doesn't, and depending on the content of the book you're reading, but it's just very meditative almost. And I read every night mostly because it's what helps me fall asleep. Like if I look at my phone the last thing before bed, like I will not fall asleep. It will like wire me up and I can't fall asleep. So like I have to read in order to fall asleep. It's like my sleeping pill, basically. Yeah, so that's one of the many reasons why I love reading. I can't really imagine a world where I didn't read. I think what I love about reading is storytelling, and kind of otherworldness, going into other worlds, going into other people's heads, seeing yourself reflected in writing, I think is really powerful, is something that I really love. So yeah, I think that reading is a beautiful, wonderful thing, and it's one of the biggest reasons I became a librarian, was wanting to democratize or work in a field that worked to democratize information, so more people can access it. Because I think it's important as humanity. Okay, so along with that, why I love reading. Number 5, what book series got you into reading? And this was sort of something that was asked on Instagram, but sort of what has your reading life looked like? All right, so let's start from the beginning. I very much recall things from my childhood that I read, and one was the American Girl doll books. I had Molly. Are we shocked? No, we're not. You look at me and said, that bitch had Molly as her American Girl doll. I even dressed up as Molly for book character day, and we went to school in our matching pajamas with a book, the Molly book. So, loved the American Girl doll books. I also remember loving the Magic Treehouse series as a kid. I like gobbled those up. And then going into more young adult, I remember getting really into Harry Potter. So Harry Potter is probably, as much as, J.K. Rowling can fall off a cliff for all I care. No turf zone here. But Harry Potter was a huge, huge part of my childhood. Like, I was obsessed. It was what me and my friends bonded over. I remember the first Harry Potter I read. I was on a backpacking trip with my family in the mountains in California, and I remember I read it, and as soon as we got down the mountain, I was like, Mom, we have to find a bookstore on the way home so I can get the other books. And I just have a lot of fond memories reading them over the summer. I think I read them all one summer, and it was probably the summer I was like 12. And yeah, I just fell in love with all the books. I also was like obsessed with the movies. I was at like every midnight premiere. I would do this thing where I got the book at midnight and then I would go home and read it all night and all that. So definitely Harry Potter was a huge impact on my reading life. I also was really into Sarah Dessen books. I don't know if anyone, and like Meg Cabot, those sort of like YA rom-coms. I was real into those, kind of basic like that. I never really got into like YA fantasy. Harry Potter was like the closest, the most fantastical thing I read. I also remember reading some like Jodi Picoult when that was like my first step into from YA into like adult fiction. I remember going to the adult fiction section in the library and being like so overwhelmed and thinking all the books in the adult section were like so mature and cool. Yeah, and then once I got into high school and did more, I guess, like starting with my first literary books that I started reading, I read To Kill a Mockingbird, which is, I know this is all so basic, but I don't care because these books really impact me, had a huge impact on me. I read To Kill a Mockingbird my freshman year of high school, and I remember also reading The Odyssey. And both of those things I loved reading. I actually had a tradition when I was younger where I read To Kill a Mockingbird every summer. As soon as school would get out, I would read To Kill a Mockingbird. It's still one of my favorite books. It's my problematic fave. Yeah, Go Set a Watchman, though, that was tough. I was like, please, we didn't need to do this. But it was also like, it revealed a lot of the problems of To Kill a Mockingbird. A lot of white saviorism, but whatever. Okay. And then I read Catcher in the Rye. I still to this day love Catcher in the Rye. I am 100% huge Salinger fan. So that really got me into reading. I remember I read Jane Austen in high school, and then my senior year of high school, we read Brothers Karamazov, and that was my first like Russian literature, and I remember it was a really cool experience. We took like a very long time to read it throughout this class, and we like discussed it every week, and I remember thinking like, this is so cool that we get to like read these books and talk about them. I don't know why I wasn't an English major. That was silly. Yeah, so that's kind of what my reading life has looked like. When I got into college, I was actually a music major, and in undergrad, I didn't have a lot of time to read very much. And I really picked up my like adult reading life when I was a couple years out of college. And then when I went to grad school for library and information science, I did not read very much for fun because I had so much grad school work to do. And then really it's been honestly 2019 actually was when I really started reading again. So I've had some like gaps in my adulthood reading, but I could say in my 20s some of like the most powerful authors I've read or books I've read was like discovering Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver is like a gorgeous, beautiful poet. Rest in peace. Has changed my life always and forever. I remember reading The Elegance of the Hedgehog by Muriel Barbary, and that book was really beautiful. I discovered Annie Dillard, reading Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, American Childhood. Those were very influential books in my 20s. And then in my later 20s, I remember reading A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. That book actually really influenced my deconstruction from the Christian religion, because I used to be kind of involved in evangelical Christianity. I know, shame backstory. And sort of the Zen Buddhist thinking in that book really like upended and gave me sort of a awakening intellectually, which was really cool. It's another reason I love reading, is it helps people change their minds when they're stuck in maybe habits that aren't the best. Yeah, and then another book that I think has been really influential has been Ocean Vuong's On Earth Were Briefly Gorgeous, and also like a lot of like Sally Rooney as well, and Marilyn Robinson. So those are some of my big authors that I really loved. Oh, and Jesmyn Ward. I really loved. I remember I think I read Sing Unburied Sing and Salvage the Bones back to back, because I just read one book and was like, I want to read another Jesmyn Ward. So those are sort of some standout books from my 20s that I really, really liked. And then this last year, I mean, you saw my 2020 one wrap up, and I think that those were really like Ferrante, Patricia Lockwood, reading Rachel Cusk for the first time, Deborah Levy, a lot of these like thinky women. This kind of last year I started reading more books like that, and that has just also opened up a whole new world. So again, back to my previous question of why do you love reading? This is one of the reasons, is it just like kind of ignites curiosities, and I kind of follow these different paths, and I really love that it makes life fun and exciting. And I think being a curious person is like a key to living a healthy, good life. So yeah, that kind of also covered question 6. Oops. What kind of books do you like to read? So yeah, I like literary fiction for the most part, usually thinky, sad women inside their heads. I like that. I also like to read the occasional historical fiction if it's done properly. I also am into some nonfiction. Like I'll read some things, like some like Maggie Nelson-esque sort of theory nonfiction with occasional memoir, or you know, also some nonfiction that's like leftist political ideology. So anything Verso books. I've read like that, like Rebecca Solnit, that kind of stuff. Adrienne Marie Brown, I've read some Adrienne Marie Brown that I really like. And then to throw things in the mix, sometimes I like a thriller. Sometimes I just want to read, you know, some Gone Girl-esque book that I just get lost in and I can't put down, because those are fun. So I also like to just like mix it up. I don't know, I'm pretty open to reading lots of different things. So yeah. Okay, this was a book that someone asked on Instagram, which was, what buzzwords make you pick up books? And I am not necessarily guilty of buzzwords, but I am guilty of author blurbs. So if an author I like blurb something, like say it's like Patricia Lockwood blurb this book, I'm like, okay, if Patricia Lockwood blurbed it, I gotta read it. Or if Jenny Offel blurbed it, I gotta read it. Or, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily buzzwords, but it's like if a buzzy author blurbs a book, I'm really guilty of that. And then sometimes it doesn't turn out so great, because it's been blurbed by authors I like, and then I don't like the book, and I'm like, what were you thinking? Why would you like this book? So I don't know, y'all. Okay, so number 8 is, where do I read? I read in bed a lot. I'm a big bed reader. I also read on the couch. It's winter, so that's sort of where I read right now. In the summer though, I'll read anywhere. I will read. I have a table. I have like a shared patio in my apartment building, and I'll read out there a lot. I'll go in Seattle. We're really spoiled. I have access to all these great lakes and wonderful bodies of water to swim in, and I will go to the lake and read by the beach a lot. I read, actually, when I go backpacking. I love bringing a book with me when I go backpacking or camping. So yeah, I will kind of read. I can't read in the car, which kind of sucks. It makes me dizzy. And same with planes. Sometimes reading on a plane will make me dizzy. So I can't really read in motion necessarily. But yeah, right now, currently, winter in the Pacific Northwest is reading on my couch, reading in my bed. That's about it. And COVID times, it's not like I'm going to coffee shops and reading a lot. Okay, and the last question is non-book hobbies. This was something that people asked me on Instagram, and so non-book hobbies are hanging out with my dog. We love my dog. I'm obsessed with my dog. I also am really into doing outdoorsy stuff. I am into hiking and backpacking. I also love just being outside in general, not like very bro-y outdoorsy, but just like experiencing being outside. I'm a big outside person. Yeah, I also love going to karaoke. Maybe I'll put some karaoke content in a vlog sometime. Not right now. I'm trying not to go out very much because of the Omicron variant, but yeah, and playing music. Since I was a music major, I still have that. I love playing piano, singing, playing guitar, that kind of stuff. I also love gardening, so hopefully I'll have some garden content in here. Yeah, I also like interior design and thrifting and style and stuff like that. So just creative stuff all around I'm into. Yeah. I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna decline it because I'm busy. Yeah, so anyway, that's me. Thank you for listening. I love how this, like, my Aries sun is really thriving in this way, that I just get to talk about myself for like 25 minutes. 100% yes. It's perfect. I'm gonna go now and end this, but thanks for listening. Tell me more about yourself in the comments. I love to get to know people. And thanks for being with me on this journey, this booktube journey. Okay. Bye.